Hello, welcome and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing? I'm fine, doing well. I feel fantastic. Thank you so much for the views that you gave me last week. I'm super grateful. I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much for all the love that you showed me last week, or rather in my last video. Thank you so much. I'm super grateful. Kindly continue liking my video, sharing, commenting, and all those things that they do on YouTube. Kindly make this channel grow. Make this channel grow. Okay, so if you're new here, my name is Samura Maina. I'm a registered dietitian and I help people to positively shift their relationship with food and their bodies. And talk of relationship, well, I keep on telling people I help people to positively shift their relationship with food and their bodies. What does it mean to be in a relationship? When you think about a relationship with your pet, with your cousin, with your brother, with your sister, with your better half, or whoever, or whichever relationship that you have, we're talking about commitment, we're talking about love, we're talking about trust, we're talking about faithfulness, yeah, we're talking about forgiveness, all those virtues and all those qualities of a good relationship. It's the same way you need to put that when it comes to food. What does this look like when you talk about this relationship with food? Let's try and break it down and make us understand what this really means. So first things first, like I've said, there's all those virtues. The problem we have as human beings, we always look for something to blame. Yeah, we look for something to accuse of the mistakes that we make as human beings. Yeah, and food being one of them. We basically want to blame food for everything that happens to us in terms of our body compositions. You're fat, you're blaming food. You're slim, you're blaming food, and all that. But that shouldn't be the case. When you're trying to build a good relationship with food, then that should not be the case. It's more of understanding what the food does to the body. Yeah, there's a reason as to why when a child is born, the first thing they are told within the first 30 minutes of life, the child has to be breastfed. So food is not necessarily bad. Food is supposed to nourish us. Food is supposed to help with our mental health, growth and development, build us, and not to destroy us. Food is not our enemy. Food is supposed to be our friend. But you are making food our enemy based on how we behave, or how on the things we do around the food. You overeat today, tomorrow you want to starve yourself. You don't eat enough today, tomorrow you want to overeat. So this back and forth is what is bringing us to this bad relationship with food. We find ourselves in this yo-yo dieting, which eventually can affect your body. We find ourselves going from one fad diet to the next, yeah, without achieving any results. But if you're trying to be this healthy individual, then you have to build a positive relationship with food. And how do we go about it? This video being a continuation of the previous video on where I talked about the macronutrients, micronutrients, hydration. Yeah, so this being a continuation of it, how do we go about it in terms of selecting what we need to take and what we don't need to take when it comes to being a healthy individual. So once you've had an understanding of what this is all about, then you'll be able to make a perfect decision when it comes to food. You'll be able to decide what you need to put in your mouth and what you don't need to, what you need to take in moderation. Yeah, so it becomes even much easier for you. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about today is actually calories. Yeah, we keep on talking about calorie deficit, calorie surplus, calories in, calories out, and all those things around calories. What is calories in the first place? So calories is the unit for measuring energy, and this energy we get them from the macronutrients that we take. The carbohydrate has calories, proteins has calories, fats gives us calories, the 449 calories. Alcohol also contributes to the amount of calories that you take within a day. So what does these calories look like? So when you take too much calories, you're likely to gain weight. When you take too little calories, you're going to lose weight. And when you take just enough calories that fits your body, you're going to maintain that weight. That's what it simply means when you talk about these calories. But you don't necessarily need to count your calories, because it might not be sustainable for you. It's not something you might be able to keep up, especially if you are this beginner who is trying to understand what this nutrition is all about. Okay, and here we don't want to do things that are going to be tedious. When you do all these things, that's why you find most people making nutrition look like it's really a big deal. It so frustrating to live healthy, so frustrating to follow a nutrition plan, because we are trying to do everything all at once, and that shouldn't be the case. Here we are trying to make things simple as much as possible, make you understand what is important, the basics of nutrition, and a simple guide to a healthy living. Okay, so when it comes, like I've said, you don't necessarily have to count the calories, because it can be overwhelming, and it might leave you frustrated, and it might leave you frustrated, and it's not even sustainable by the end of the day. So what do we do? Yeah, a good rule of thumb, we can use the plate method. Yeah, to begin with, the plate method, whereby half of your plate is vegetables. Yeah, the green leafy vegetables, and some fruits on the side, and then a quarter of your plate is some good sources of carbohydrates, the starchy vegetables. Yeah, like the arrowroots, potatoes, cereals, all those ones. Okay, and then this other quarter of the plate should be lean sources of protein. Okay, and then of course you can take water on the side, and whatever you use to cook your food, that is some healthy fats. It could be olive oil, or sometimes you can even put avocado on the side, which is also healthy fats. And sometimes also you can include the nuts and the seeds, which also contain some healthy fats. You don't necessarily have to count calories, but in this case you'd have eaten everything that is required of you: the macronutrients, the micronutrients. Yeah, and of course you're properly hydrated throughout the day by taking water. Okay, let's talk about processed foods. We have the processed foods, we have the minimally processed, and we have the ultra processed foods. So, with the processed foods, is any food item that has deliberately gone through some changes by the time they get to the consumer. And this, when you're talking about changes, we're talking about washing, grinding, fermenting, pasteurization, heating, canning, etc. All those are processing. And we have minimally processed as well. Minimally is the food item which has undergone some levels of processing, but not too much. But when it comes to ultra processing, this is whereby the food has undergone extensive processing to the point that it changes, or rather it alters the original state of a particular food. Okay, so with that case, understanding what processed foods, ultra processing, and minimally processed foods means will help you to be able to make the correct food choices around food, or rather the foods that you buy, whether processed or not, and also understanding whether processed foods is good or bad, because not all processed foods are made equal. A good example is fermentation. Fermentation is good for you, is good for your gut. Yeah, we talk about frozen vegetables. They help to preserve the nutrients in vegetables, so it's still fine. So not all of them are made equal, but the problem we have is with the ultra processed foods, whereby the food has been altered completely from its original state. How do you tell food is ultra processed? First, you need to check whether it has any added sugar. They will indicate their added sugar, or rather they will indicate whether it has something like dextrose, sucrose, yeah, high fructose corn syrup, all those ones can tell you that this food is ultra processed, or you can check for artificial sweeteners like this aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, and so forth. And also you can check whether other preservatives have been added. If it's not natural preservatives, then it shouldn't have any preservative at all. That one will, though, understanding that, or rather checking on that, when you're checking the nutrition label, you should be able to pick on that. And even when you're buying this food, make sure the first ingredient that you see, if it's saying apple juice, the first ingredient that you should see on that packet should be apple, and nothing else. So this will actually tell you that this food is not ultra processed. And then, like I've said, not all processed foods are created equal. They're not the same. We have other options which are healthier. Okay, like I've said, fermentation, frozen vegetables, some canned foods. Yeah, we need to check on that. So how do you make healthier choices? First of all, eat whole foods. The more natural it is, in its original state, the healthier it is. Take your, if it's bread, go for whole bread. If it's fruits, take your whole fruits as it is. If it's vegetable, take vegetables as they are. If you have to cook them, cook it for a very short time to ensure that it doesn't get too much, it doesn't undergo too much processing. And then another thing you can do is read nutrition labels. Like I've said, check for added sugar, preservatives, sweeteners, and so forth. Another thing, cook at home as much as possible, because with that you're able to control what's in your plate, what you're cooking, how much of each ingredient you're adding to the food. If it's salt, if it's sugar, yeah, you're able to have that. Personally, I would love to make my foods at home. I would love to bake my own bread. I would love to bake my own cake. I would love to cook my own food, make my own meats at home, because with that it's easier for me to actually control what's in that cake, what's in that cookie, what's in that, how much salt I'm putting, how much sugar I'm putting. And with that, I'm able to control how much of each of these foods that I'm able to eat. Because if I'm buying bread, then that means I don't know which preservative, which ingredients they've added there. So it's neither here nor there. And I love bread, I love cakes, I love cookies. Okay, so once I make them at my own house, it makes it even better. So what are the health implications of taking these processed foods? It can lead to nutrition, or rather nutrient deficiency. Remember, some of the nutrients, or rather most of the nutrients, have been removed from this particular food. So it tends to have very few to little nutrients. Another thing is it can lead to long-term health effects, that is type 2 diabetes, obesity, irritable bowel syndrome. It can actually upset the gut. And then, because you find that most of them are not in its natural state, so it can easily affect the gut. And what are some of the examples of these ultra processed foods? Of course, we have the sodas, some of the juices that you buy from the supermarkets or in the stores, some cookies, cakes, breads that we take, especially the white bread. Should we eat ultra processed foods? It's neither here nor there. 80 to 20%, 80-20% rule applies. 80% of the time you are taking processed or minimally processed foods, yeah, most of the time. And then 20%, you have gone out with the girls, with the boys, with friends, you're allowed to take that cake, that candy, that chocolate 20% of the time. Eating this ultra processed food is actually part of the regular diet, as long as you are not doing it on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so 80% of the time you're taking healthy foods, and 20% you are allowed to take these ultra processed foods. And that's why I keep on saying nutrition is not boring, it's not a punishment, it's not about eating boring foods every day. Sometimes the body needs to have this sugar, sometimes the body needs to have the perceived bad food, and it's okay. You one time one-time indulgence will not affect your whole year or 1 month of healthy journey. Actually ultra processed, or one day of indulgent will not affect all the efforts that you've been putting in throughout the week or throughout the month, and the body is able to actually handle it. Yeah, because our bodies are very special machines, they are very complex. Yeah, so you just doing this thing one day, taking your pizza one day, will not affect your whole month of hard work. Okay, so it's allowed here and there if you want to, but I don't want to call it a cheat meal, because I feel once you start calling it a cheat meal, then you're breaking that relationship. You are cheating. Yeah, you're being unfaithful. So I don't like using the term cheat meal. It doesn't really feel so well with me. You are just taking ultra processed foods, not necessarily cheating. Does that make sense? Oh, so well, guys, I think I'm done with this video for today. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and share and share and share. That will help grow my channel, and I'll be so grateful. So, do you know what I feel like taking right now? After all this talking, I feel like taking soda, specifically Coke. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'll take exactly that. Coke. Not Diet Coke, I'll take exactly Coke. Don't be this type of person who craves, and a glass of Coke is enough. It is enough. Don't be this type of person. You crave for soda, you take juice. You crave for soda again, you take juice. And the cycle continues. But the brain still wants soda. That's what it wants. But you keep on giving it juice all the time. So what will happen? You'll be like, enough of this. You give in to your bodily demands, and you end up taking bottle a whole bottle of soda. What does that do to you? Yeah, the next day after taking that whole bottle of soda, you feel bad about yourself, and that's the beginning of a poor relationship with food. Okay, you start taking tomorrow you feel bad about yourself. Now you're overworking in the gym, you're taking a lot of water trying to compensate for the mistake that you made yesterday. It's not doing any good. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of punishment. And you said nutrition is not a punishment. We are building good relationship with food. We don't do cheat meals here. We take food, not cheat meals. We're just taking ultra processed, minimally processed, or just simply processed foods. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.